Welcome Homeworthy to Hillside Farm. My name is Ruth McKeaney and I am so excited to have you here for today's episode. Today we're going to go to my daughter's home. She just redid an old house with my husband Bob and we're going to see the fruits of their labor. But before we go, we're going to go into the house, make my Ruth's Barely Baked chocolate chip cookies, which are world famous, and an appetizer. And then because it's spring and I love to bring the outdoors in, we're going to create a little herb garden for her to put on her kitchen sink. So come along, let's go have some fun. I'm Ruth McKeaney, and this year I'm inviting Homeworthy to join my family for all of our annual highlights at Hillside Farm, our 305-year-old farmhouse steeped in history and love. After decades of flipping houses, my husband Bob and I settled here where we raised our 5 children. And this year you'll join us for holiday gatherings and the upcoming wedding of our daughter, happening right here at Hillside, where we welcome your company as we share in the simple pleasures of life at home. I'll offer tips from my book, Hungry for Home, to help infuse your own home with moments of joy, filling home-cooked meals with flavor for the whole family, and of course decorating with amazing antique finds. So sit back and make yourself at home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Okay, we're on our way back up to the house, and before we get there, I wanted to show you my cutting garden, because in the next couple of months, as we have more episodes, you're gonna see it grow. I mean, it'll get to this high with the most fantastic flowers. But right now, we only have a few things that have returned from last year, and we are getting ready to go to Lancaster this week to buy all the annuals that I'm gonna be planting. We're gonna fill this box and fill this box, and I can't wait to show you how it grows. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to one of my very favorite places on the property, and that's my herb garden. When we originally bought the house, my husband asked, what would you love? And I said, I'd love an herb garden off the kitchen. So he proceeded to build this for me. He had to hand cut every one of these, and there's an 18-inch difference between front to back. So it was a labor of love. But I love it. I planted my favorite tulips, which are, I think they're called Queen of the Night. They're like a dark, dark, dark tulip. And I plant, so every year they come up looking like this. And I don't know if you can see these, but we planted hundreds. And in a few weeks, you'll get to see they are giant alliums. And they're balls about this big of purple. So this is going to be my space. Now what I did when I designed it is we have 4 boxes, and I anchored each one with a boxwood in the center. Originally I started with tomato plants and it just got like a big old mess. So I did boxwoods in each one, and now I'm going to think through all the herbs I'm going to plant. As I said earlier, we're gonna go buy all our plants this week, and I do clumps of them. I do clumps of basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, parsley, and I choose different places within here and within the flowers to plant. So in the next few weeks, you'll get to see how all of this progresses, and you'll get to see my favorite flowers, which are the allium. All right, let's go inside. I want to get started on the chocolate chip cookies, and I'm telling you, you are in for a treat. All right, welcome back to my kitchen, and this is where we're going to make probably what I'm best known for. They're called Ruth's Barely Baked chocolate chip cookies, and they're in the cookbook actually on page 105. They truly are amazing. Probably, people ask me, why are they so different? And I think it's probably because there are 4 sticks of butter. Yes, an entire pound of butter in these cookies, but I can tell you they are worth it. I make these for everything, and the key is, and I'll show you this before we even start, you take a freezer bag, and when you're finished and you have frozen balls, which I'll show you, you store these in your freezer. You can pull them out when the kids come home from school. You can pull them out when a neighbor comes over and is struggling with something and wants to talk. And you can pull them out when your whole family is out playing games outside. But they are the very best thing I make. So let's start. Here we go. Here's what you do. I started with 4 sticks of butter. Now I melted it in the microwave. It's almost complete. It is pretty much completely melted, but not totally. Go ahead and mix it up. Now, one of the secrets of this, and I'm telling you this in advance, is don't use a mixer. A mixer can whip up the butter, and that's not what you want. These are so soft, and they're called barely baked for a reason, because they really are barely baked. I take them out before they're completely done. Okay, after you have the butter pretty much just mixed up, you're going to take 2.5 cups of light brown sugar, drop that in there, keep mixing it a little bit. You're going to take 1 cup of white granulated sugar, and drizzle that in. This is so easy, and I'm telling you, when you've got them frozen in your freezer, here we go, vanilla, 2 tablespoons of vanilla. I'll be totally honest, I usually don't even use a measuring. I am not a perfect measurer. There we go, 2 tablespoons. Keep mixing that. And now we've got 3 eggs, and we're using our fresh eggs from our chickens that we got up this morning. One of the reasons I'm so excited to take these to Alex, besides the fact that they are everyone's favorite chocolate chip cookies, is I can't wait for you to hear her story. You know, she was in college, and before she graduated, she gave us a call and she said, Mom, I want you to go look at this house that's really falling apart, and I want you to FaceTime me, which I did. And she said, I want to buy it. She proceeded to buy it before she had graduated, just a few months before, and she was engaged at the time, because she and her husband wanted, or her fiance wanted to do what Bob and I did. Now wait, I'm interrupting myself because we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You can use any kind of salt, but I use a kosher salt. And 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Add that. All right, keep mixing. So her fiance was all in at the time. They start working on this house, and within a month into it, her fiance is in the kitchen, and I see him glazed over. And I said, are you okay, sweetie? He said, no, Mrs. McKeaney, I'm not. I said, this was way more than you anticipated, wasn't it? And he said, yes. And I said, come on into the living room. All right, let's get back to this for a second. Here we go. 5 cups of flour. So I'm going to do this. All right, add the 5 cups. Now again, all this gets done by hand. So we go sit in the living room, and I call my daughter in, and I said, sweetie, I think you confused Chris's enthusiasm with ability, capacity, bandwidth, whatever you want to call it, and you need to let him off the hook. And it was such a sweet conversation. I think, you know, you can go into a project. She grew up in it. She grew up in houses completely under construction. He had never seen it. So all of a sudden, every wall's down, the kitchen's being moved, bathrooms are being added. He has no idea what's happening. And it goes completely, I understand, it overwhelmed him. But the sweet part of the story is her dad stepped in, and it became Bob and Alex's project. And Chris got to do what Chris is amazing at doing. He became their cheerleader. And any help they needed, they were able to tell him what to do, he did. But he provided the enthusiasm which was necessary to finish the project. So that's why I'm excited for you to go see what they worked so hard on. All right, here we go. The dough is pretty much incorporated. Now I want to tell you, usually I use a Ghirardelli chocolate chip. Not today. I'm doing something else, which is kind of fun. I went to Trader Joe's, and they have the huge bars of chocolate. I took one that was dark chocolate, one that was milk, and my husband broke it all up for me last night. And we are going to mix the 2 chocolates and add them. So these are going to be a chocolate chunk cookie. Take an ice cream scoop about this size. You can make them huge, small. This is the size I prefer. I don't know if it's a 1.5 or 2 inch. Go ahead and scoop them. And I've got this board. Let me show you this board. It's a really thin board that I have. And I scoop them onto the board. The reason I do this is because these need to be put in the refrigerator or the freezer first before you bake them. They harden up. I'm telling you, you are gonna love these. I am so excited for you to hear directly from Alex and Bob, because I think Alex learned a few things about herself in the process. I mean, I think you can go into a project like this thinking you have a real understanding and idea of what it takes. But at the end of the day, until you've done it, you have no idea. So it'll be fun to hear whether she'll even do anything close to this ever again. But for this project, she did a magnificent job. Okay, now as these finish, and we're gonna put these in the fridge or the freezer, preheat your oven. I do mine on convection 375. What I find is it cooks the outside quickly and it leaves the inside doughier, which I kind of like. So, and remember, they're called Ruth's Barely Baked for a reason, because they really are barely baked. One of the fun things I got to do is take a couple of my daughters, including Alex, to a consignment shop that I love, because, you know, she and Chris, they're just starting out. So it's fun to go to the old consignment places and find what another person's trash was your treasure. So we went and found her some rugs, so you'll be getting to see those again today, and as well as our process. So, all right, these are done, and we will put them in the fridge. Okay, while the cookies are firming up in the fridge, we've got the oven preheating. Let's go outside. We're gonna start on that herb garden I wanted to build for Alex that we're gonna take over later. Come join me on the back porch. What a day! Okay, we are gonna do something I love doing, and that is bringing the outside in. And my daughter doesn't have a green thumb at all, like when I started, and she definitely doesn't have any herbs in her kitchen. So I thought it would be fun to put together a little herb garden that she can have in the kitchen. Okay, yes, I chose 2 gloves that are on the same hand. All right, I'm gonna do this backwards. All right, so I don't match. Okay, here we go. Get a pot, I don't care what it is. It can be a wooden box, it can be a ceramic porcelain pot, it can be terracotta. It needs to have some sort of drainage. So this already has a hole in the bottom of it. If your pot or your box does not have drainage, just put rocks on the bottom. Go get pebbles anywhere. Put the rocks up, you know, about yay. All right, so now we have the drainage covered. I get an organic soil just to keep things on the healthy side. And here we go, let's get this. I'm gonna fill this pot about halfway with this soil. Put that here. You can see it right here. And here are the herbs I've chosen. So I have some basil because I know they love to cook Italian. And then I also have some rosemary. I chose a creeping rosemary as well as a tall rosemary. She doesn't really use any other herbs. I thought about a mint because I know they have tea, but mint is very invasive and you should have its own pot if you're going to do mint. So here we go. You can buy these anywhere. Literally grocery stores are selling them right now. Break up the bottom of it like that and kind of put this in. Now I want to show you, this is my very favorite tool that I use in a garden, and it's called a hori-hori. It has lines, although you can't see it, it's so dirty, lines that can give you measurements, plus it has that serrated side, but it digs, it can cut your bags, it can cut the plants on the bottom of it. It's my very favorite tool. So we take that hori-hori, let's pull this one out. And if I want, I can cut a little bit of that bottom off, freshen up all the roots. And now, here we go. We're gonna take this rosemary, I'm gonna put it here in the back. I love different heights. And of course, this one's creeping. I mean, it is gonna smell so good in her kitchen. And she can clip whatever she wants, whenever she wants. It is so easy to do this. And I have to tell you, especially this time of year when it's Mother's Day coming up, or you've got lots of summer parties, or your sister or your aunt, take something you made as easy as this, couple it with the Hungry for Home cookbook, because in there is gardening tips, in there is cooking tips, traditions, but it's a great thing to pair. I've also had people take the book and buy a hori-hori and wrap it and put it on. I'm gonna show you my other favorite thing. It's these shears, and now I don't know the name of them, but I look under Japanese shears, and these come up every time, and they have lasted me years, and they're the best things I've ever used. So here we go. I'm gonna add a little bit more soil. And this is good to go. I am not the neatest. We're gonna water it. And there you go. We're gonna take this as a surprise. I wanna give you some tips on how to care for this. Put it in a windowsill, anywhere that gets a lot of sunlight, because these things need sunlight. Also, don't overwater. That's why you need drainage. You don't want those roots to get rotten. So I would water it once a week. Just keep the soil damp, but make sure it's in a lighted area. And I'm telling you, you'll be so excited when you're cooking that spaghetti and you get to cut off some basil and smell and everything else. So, portion of the book that talks about gardening, the herb garden, the cutting garden. Oh, these are the purple flowers I was referring to that are about to pop up all over the property. But it talks about what is best to grow in different areas, and it's just fun to get ideas, and it's just a fun gift for anybody who loves to garden or is like me and just wants to learn. Okay, we have the herb plant done and ready to go. We're gonna go back in the kitchen and we're gonna make a fun appetizer. It's actually my cousin Lori gave me this recipe. It's a cheese spread. I usually put it in jars and put it on my big charcuterie boards, but today we're just gonna have it all by itself with some crackers to take over to her house. So let's go in the kitchen and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so we've pulled the cookies out. Ooh, it's hot. They are firm. Now, if they came out of the freezer, they'd be frozen solid, but right now they're very firm. And this is the time to put them into the oven. Now, ordinarily, I will take these, just like this, already firm, and throw them all into this bag and stick them in the freezer so I can pull them out anytime I want. I can pull out 2 for just my husband and I. I can pull out 10, but it's so nice to have it on hand at any point in time for all your company. All right, let's put them all in. So I'm gonna put them in, I'm just gonna do rows of 2. Here we go. And stick them in the oven. You really have to eye these cookies. There's no exact time. I mean, probably 12 minutes, but I like the edges to be brown and they still look not completely done because they keep cooking on the pan, not to mention they're supposed to be barely baked. Okay, here's our next recipe that we're going to do. It's a recipe that my cousin Lori taught me. I love it. Again, it can go on a charcuterie board in a cool little jar with a spoon or a little knife, or for today's purposes, we're gonna put it in this ramekin. It can also be made into a cheese ball. Now, before I say cheese ball, I hate cheese balls. In fact, until this one, I'd never found one that I liked. So I hesitate to use the word cheese ball, but it can be made into a cheese ball. All right, here we go. We start with this, I use Cracker Barrel, extra sharp cheese. It's the white one. And you go ahead and shred it all. I've got one that I've already shredded. I'm gonna throw it into this bowl. Okay, now you're gonna take 1 bunch of green onions, which I have here, and we're gonna chop up the white portion and add that to it. All right, here we go. Just chop it up finely. I mean, between this and the bacon, you can't go wrong. Another fun thing, while I chop this up, that we're gonna take that I haven't told you, my daughter and her, well, now husband, they went to St. Moritz in Switzerland on their honeymoon that someone sent them on to ski. So I was trying to figure out what would be a really great gift to give them in their house. And because they didn't have many pictures for the walls, what I did was I got on eBay. It was either eBay or Etsy. I think it was eBay. And I ordered a vintage poster of St. Moritz of people skiing. So we had that framed and we're gonna take that to their house tonight. All right, here we go. We have all the green onions. Let's throw that in. And then you're gonna take bacon bits. Now ordinarily, and this one's different, but ordinarily I get the Hormel bacon bits. They're in a jar. Just pour the whole thing in there. I mean, again, bacon. And then you're going to take these slivered almonds. The amount you're supposed to use is the little packages you can find in a grocery store, the small packages. I didn't have small packages, so I'm just eyeing it. Just take a handful of it just adds a little bit of crunch. I think that's about right. And then you're going to take 1 cup, here we go, 1 cup of mayonnaise. There we go. And before I do that, I'm checking the cookies. Oh, they're done. We have to take a moment and we have to pull them out. We're gonna let them sit for a minute because they're a little bit brown on the edges. They're perfect. Here we've got our mayonnaise, let's add it. Actually, I should probably mix it up a little bit before the mayonnaise comes in. Not that it'll change anything, but just mix it up. All right, mix all the mayonnaise in. And what we're gonna do is you form ordinarily for that cheese ball, or for this, you'll just spoon it into this container. And you can serve with any kind of cracker that you love. I like a good water cracker with this because it has enough taste of its own. You don't need a cracker that's peppered or anything. All right. This is pretty much mixed up. See, the consistency is, if I stuck my hands in it, we would form a ball and you'd put it on something. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to spoon it right in to this. And then stick a little knife. And we're going to serve that today on a board with some wonderful crackers. Now that we're done making the appetizer, we're going to get all the chocolate chip cookies, finish cooking them, put them on a board, put this dip on a board with some great crackers, grab the herb garden, grab her huge gift that we're going to hang on the wall for her tonight, and head on over to her house where she's serving us all dinner. Now, between you and me, I'm guessing that means we're going to order something because she's working full time and hasn't gotten into a rhythm of cooking yet. But no matter what, we're all going to be together and we're going to celebrate all the work that she and Bob and Chris have done. So let's get ready and we'll head on out. Okay, as I said earlier, I love to collect boards because I put everything on a board. And here's just another fun one, but we'll load up the cookies and take them over. Oh my gosh, these are so good. They're still hot. Oh, it's too hot. Time to put them in. Okay, let's go get the cookies and the appetizer. Wait, I want to show you a sneak peek of what she's getting. We will hang this on her wall. It'll take up a lot of space, which is nice. Okay, we've loaded up the gift, we've loaded up this indoor herb garden, and now we have the cookies and the dip, and we're heading over to Alex's. Here we go. I'm so excited for you to hear her story. What a day. Oh, this is so exciting. I think my husband's already here. This is going to be so much fun.
Earlier in the week, Ruth and Alex stopped by their favorite local consignment shop to see if they could find some great treasures for Alex's newly renovated home.
Next
Could work for my living room.
Oh, that would look great on your coffee table.
Yay!
All right, let's get that for the kitchen sink. Hold that.
Yep.
Alex, what about this on the other side of your island?
That looks great.
I think this would be really good with the other one.
Sounds
How
good.
much is it? I like that it's a little beaten up too. All right, this would be great in your kitchen. Let's do it. One of the things I love about this consignment place is they're constantly getting new stuff. They're putting it on the Instagram every single day, so you know when things are coming in. You can make a list of things you're looking for and give it to them, and they'll give you a call. So always check a consignment place. There's always even more downstairs. I mean, look at this fantastic chair. I love it. Where could it go? Lots of treasures. I love this Windsor chair. But I think she already has one. These are great in any house as an accent chair. These are great pillows. Let's give these a try.
Hi, Mom.
Hi,
Come on
honey.
in. Hi. Hi. Thanks for coming over.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Good
Hi,
to see
sweetheart.
you.
How are you?
Dad's
Doing
already
well.
here.
Dad's here. Hi, honey. Where are you? Let me put these cookies down. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Love you.
Love you.
All right. This is exciting. So, Homeworthy already knows this, but we have a housewarming gift for you all.
Oh.
Wow.
I know.
Like this house is a housewarming gift for you.
Okay. Well, that will be part of your story, but we have something special. Would you go get it out of the car?
Absolutely. Oh wow.
It's a big boy. Oh my goodness, it's humongous.
Turn it that way. It's a chalkboard.
And you can write special love notes
that's
to
right,
Chris.
to each other.
a nice
every
wire
day.
down the back.
Exactly. Okay, before we turn it around, we wanted to give you something. First of all, it takes a long time to collect art, and we wanted to do something on your wall that was memorable, would mean something. So you had your first honeymoon where?
St. Moritz.
St. Moritz, you skied. So we looked everywhere and got a vintage poster.
Whoa.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Yeah, cool.
I've seen
And we-
like small renditions of it,
Uh-huh.
and the big is amazing.
I know, so we're gonna hang it right over here on the wall.
Wow, that is.
Okay.
Wow, it's going to be perfect in here.
I know, I'm so excited.
Can I help?
Yeah, would you help?
That was Alex. Okay, for it.
No.
There you go.
Sadly, there's no snowboarders for Chris, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what you meant to do.
Which is still a wonder why I allowed you to marry your daughter.
We don't have
I-
snowboarders in our family until you.
Until now.
Okay, there you go. Can you help?
No, I got it.
Okay. Isn't that cool?
That's wonderful.
We snuck over last night while you guys were at the 76ers game, and we put it in the wall so that we could just hang it for you today.
See, they even have their own key.
I'm excited for you to tell the story of this house because you would not believe the transformation that has taken place, and it's going to be really fun to hear from them about where the kitchen used to be, what that room used to be, what walls came down. So I'm excited for you to tell that. Perfect. I love it.
Ooh.
Really cool.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Thanks,
Great
Mom
statement
and
piece for you.
Dad.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dad.
we have one more thing.
Oh,
One more little thing. Here's my next thing. I know you
Yay.
don't keep things alive yet, and I know you don't really cook, but you're gonna learn. And so, what do you think this is?
Herbs.
Herbs.
Yes.
So proud of you. You're
Okay, I want you to guess. What herbs are we?
All right, basil,
Oh, no.
rosemary, thyme. I don't know.
Okay,
Basil
it's
and
just
thyme.
two different things.
Basil and rosemary.
Yes, basil and rosemary. Oh my gosh, I raised you right. Put it right there. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Maybe if it serves a purpose, I'll keep it alive longer.
Rugs we picked up at the consignment store. Do you have them?
Yes, they're in my car.
No, go get them. Go get them. I want you to bring them in. Let's
Oh
see
wait,
if
no,
they look
I
good.
stuck them in here.
Okay. I want to see how they look in your kitchen. it's so fun. We put, and Alex can explain it later, but her in-laws bought a painting in Jackson Hole because that's where they got engaged. So they bought them for their first anniversary. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
let me see.
So which one do you want to put
Let's put this
where?
one. Let's try this one in front of the
Stove.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this one. I wanted this in my house. Oh, that looks awesome.
Put the other one over here?
Yeah, put the other one in front of the sink.
Ooh, that looks
How does
good.
it look?
Looks really
How
good.
do they look together?
Good. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
It like fills the room.
Yeah, they're not matchy-matchy, but they're a great accent to each other. Love it.
Sounds good.
So I cannot wait for you to hear about the transformation, and I think you'll also see some before pictures. And I love how these warm it up, but would you please take everyone with Bob through the house to kind of show what you did and how you transformed this? I love it so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's go. All right, so here we are in our living room, and as Dad knows, this is not what it looked like. We had some nice carpeting in here or was there a carpet in here?
I do not remember.
I don't think there was carpet in here. I think it was just these floors, but not this pretty color. And we actually had a wall right here, so this was completely closed off. This whole side of the house was kind of its own little area. So we had the living room in here. What you're looking in here that was actually the dining room. So we had a living room, dining room situation. But before we get to that room, what we first had to do in here was, as you can see, we have this kind of weird positioned fireplace. So this is a twin home. So we have a neighbor over there named Robert. And so this is it's one big chimney between our two homes. So that's why this is kind of in a weird spot in our living room. But it was a nice yellow painted fireplace. So we redid that, put new stone on it, put slabs down to just make it prettier and kind of just try and make it more homey in here. And also did the floors, a darker stain also makes it cleaner and homier.
One thing about old homes is you get floors that when you walk in, they look horrific, but they're genuine and awesome underneath when you take the time to refinish them, stain them, and they just look beautiful when you're done. So everything as you walk through this house was floors that were here from the beginning that just weren't cared for a long time. And so that's something that Ruth and I stumbled upon in each and every one of our homes, was that it looks terrible. Sometimes it's covered underneath carpet, wall-to-wall carpet, and you pull them up and you expose just a masterpiece when it's done. So the amazing part about this house is the story of how it came to fruition. Mm-hmm. And I got this call one day.
Actually, I got the call.
The call I received was a call from you.
Oh, okay.
Saying, Alex just called me. She saw this house on Zillow and wants me to go FaceTime her and walk through this house.
Meanwhile, I'm still at school. I have, a month until graduation, and I kind of had my heart set on, I want to buy a house. I don't want to rent. I want to start putting my money into an asset. And so I was just looking at homes online every day and sent one to my mom that happened to be this one. And it was in a great school district, great area, 5 minutes from my parents. And I mean, you can take it away.
So Ruth was nice enough to take time out that afternoon and literally called Alex as she walked into the front door for her visit to see the house, and walked through every room and FaceTiming Alex and showing her every corner, every floor, every ceiling, and you asking questions of it, turning around. Mm-hmm. Can we relook at that again? Mm-hmm. Even the basement, or even those things you would look at when you're looking to buy a house. And what she saw was nothing pretty, nothing that you would ever want to return to. And what's amazing is that Alex somehow gained some vision.
Well, how do you think you came up with vision?
I mean,
I want to hear it.
It's helpful when you have parents who have done this since they got married, and they have flipped, 7 or 8 homes.
Many homes.
Yeah.
And so for me, I kind of grew up in that atmosphere. I grew up laying hardwood floors with my dad, seeing them take down walls and rebuild rooms, and just seeing how you can have as my mom would say, a vision beyond what the house actually looks like. and kind of seeing, oh, that's the dining room right now, but could we do something else with it to make it look better, to make it flow better? And I don't know, it was definitely in very bad shape. It was some nice like pink carpet, wall to wall, and the ceilings were yellow from smokers living here. It looked great. But I knew that this was, and with my parents' reassurance that there wasn't anything structurally wrong, which was really important. And there was also nothing that we couldn't do in order to make it into the house that I wanted. I mean, obviously I was a senior in college. I have money saved up. My now husband had been working for a year, so he had money saved up, and I really wanted to buy a house. That was just kind of my goal. And I mean, the only way you're going to do that as a senior in college is to buy a house that's on the cheaper side. And the only houses that are on the cheaper side that you can have a few bedrooms are ones that aren't in great shape. Just like how my parents bought homes that were definitely in bad shape, and they would just transform them into something beautiful and then later obviously be able to sell for a lot more. And I don't think I went into this house with the mindset of, I'm going to flip this house like they did. It was, I want to redo this with my dad and my now husband to really just make this house into a home. And I thought that was going to be really important for me to put my own work into it, but financially could not buy like a brand new house. Like that wasn't attainable. So definitely knew I needed something I had to work on, and this was it.
So take me from the time you FaceTimed walking through this house with Mom and seeing all the nooks and crannies and seeing the beautiful yellow ceilings and the horrific tile and coming to the decision where you wanted to make an offer and buy the house. And how did this discussion go along with your fiance at the time, Chris?
So I'm not ever going to throw Chris under the bus because he's my wonderful husband. Like, he did not grow up in an environment where they were flipping homes like my parents did. He wasn't laying hardwood floors. He wasn't using tools on a routine basis. And so something like this was scary for him. It was like, oh yay, like Alex and Dad can do it. Before we even bought the house, he knew what my dream was to make a house into my own home and to do it with my dad as like our last little hurrah before I got married. And so he was fully on board. He's like, if we financially can do it, then why not? It's a way for us to start our lives together. And so right off the bat, he was super excited. And little did he know what was coming. And
he even got super excited that when Alex bought the house and we had just started construction and Alex was still living at home and they were engaged, Chris said, I will live upstairs in the bedroom and let's get one of those Ziploc bags that keep dust from entering the room. And that lasted about 2 to 3 weeks, and he was like...
No, he was in here for a few months, actually.
All I got to say is...
for a few months,
and
in a little red bunk bed.
Some therapy at the end of it.
Living every day in a construction site was an experience for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also doing the things we didn't want to do.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and ultimately, from my standpoint, is that she walked in and she ended up buying this house. And, you know, from our standpoint, we didn't know Chris's skill set. We didn't know where Chris was coming from. And so we thought we would be people on the sidelines and me helping out as much as I could.
Yeah, where are you on the sidelines?
Along and cheering you and Chris on and helping where I could, where I could. And, you know, I learned early on that, you know, Chris did not know what a hammer was. But
he did.
He did, I'm sorry.
He did.
But he didn't know what side of the hammer to grab. No, but I learned real quick, and it was actually ended up being a blessing, is that when you're not brought up in that atmosphere, you don't necessarily know what to do, and you end up looking like a deer in headlights at a situation where we and you, because you grew up in it, you go, oh, this is not a big deal. Roll up your sleeves and let's start working.
Yeah, we'll give you jobs. We'll he couldn't see the vision of what each room could look like, whereas my dad and I could. So it was like, he and I knew what the goal was with this room. What are we going to need to do? Whereas Chris was like, just give me a project. I don't know what we're doing it for, but I'll do it with joy.
and I'll say this, being an engineer, I have a very disorganized tool area, and he'd be awesome at every day making sure that everything was put back nice and clean. And he was he was an amazing helper. But through that process, it was something that what I thought was me and Mom being on the sidelines, working alongside you and Chris, ended up being a blessing because I was able to do this house with you. And that is something that will never be duplicated. It's nothing that I ever imagined I'd be able to do and will never be replaced.
And let's preface this with that it was every single night and every single weekend for 6 months straight, from the mid-May of 2022 until
December.
it was Thanksgiving 2022. So 6 months straight of the three of us every single night together. We're picking up Chipotle, we're picking up pizzas just to survive. And every single weekend, we didn't have a summer that weekend. I was helping plan a wedding with my mom. More she did that because she's the expert and I'll do this instead.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't forget the fact that while we're working on this house, she's getting married.
And I'm getting a new job.
Labor Day weekend, has a new job. And so there's other things going on.
But I could cry because watching the two of you and the relationship that you have was pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
we'll go talk about your dining room.
Let's go show them some
All
of
right.
this fun stuff.
Sounds good. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, this wall was obviously solid.
It was a garage.
Yes.
The original owners had converted it into a room, but nothing more than that. So this wall was still there, and you walked into a living room, a dining room, and then around the corner to your kitchen, which was tucked back into the right-hand corner
And
of the
you
house.
had so there were two entrances to the house actually, and I can show you where that other entrance was in here. So the kitchen, as you maybe can imagine, was this whole entire side of the house. And there was a door actually in this wall that was the other entrance into the house. So we had two entrances, this wall was closed, and you had a kitchen down this whole entire side. Not a very beautiful kitchen, to say the least. You had some nice, what are they even called? Those tiles? Linoleum tiles that were like cemented to the floor. And so it was a very long galley kitchen. We kind of walked in and we felt like it was wasted space. I wanted more of an open concept kitchen like my mom has. And so that kind of started our brains working like, okay, could we move the kitchen? Could we convert some areas? And that's kind of what we ended up doing. So we opened up this wall, and that was the first big step into making the downstairs of the house into more of a complete living space. So we opened up this wall and first, obviously, put a window in over here. We don't need an extra entrance over here. And decided to put a dining room in here. And we did not have a bathroom on our first floor, and that was one thing I did want. You don't want guests having to go upstairs into your own bathroom. And so I had to kind of think through what rooms are not down on this first floor. What do we need? What do we want? And kind of came up with this
So we took this
idea.
existing long kitchen and created a dining room. Then we have a powder room here. And then on the other side of this wall is now a laundry room because we've learned you don't want laundry in your basement. And so we brought the laundry room upstairs from the basement into a living space in the back, which has this fun little floor story about from your grandfather back there.
Yeah. So we put up some walls, and I think there's definitely a few pictures that you're gonna be able to see of Dad and I framing this wall and putting up the drywall and all of the in-betweens.
Well, one of the things you uncover with these old houses is as you start opening floors and opening walls, you end up with cast iron pipes. And so you end up with lots of stuff that needs to be removed and needs to be replaced. And so the process of once you started opening up this floor here and tying into the existing drains, and that was a very complex situation that took a lot of time and effort in order to get it to what it looks like today. I want you to live into a house that's the wiring is good, the plumbing is good, and you got smoke detectors, everything that you can live in an old house but up to local codes.
Yeah, and we had to redo every wire in the house, correct?
As Ruth has shared many a times with her and I flipping homes, that when she had her list of demands that were multiple, list of wants that were 3 or 4 pages long, and mine were 3 or 4 lines long. it's learning real early in a marriage that if it's not that important to me, I'll make sure that the decision is hers. And Chris has learned well through that process of if he has a few inputs, but ultimately it's what you and or your mother would love.
I was just about to say that I cannot be given the credit for most of the actual paint colors and furniture designs and everything in this house. I have to give credit to my mother. I can do the construction, but I don't necessarily have the best sense of what's going to look good, what's going to make a room look bigger, what's going to make it feel more homey, what's going to make it feel a little bit nicer like a dining room can be. And so I would say that Chris and I went into this with a few things that we did want, but honestly, Chris didn't really have an opinion. He was like, I'm just here to help, and I know it's going to look beautiful. I've seen what mom and dad have done, so he was just along for the ride, and that's kind of how this house went. And I was kind of along the ride too with all the designs. So you'll be able to see how my mother's house, you can see little touches all over my house because she had a lot of touches in this one too. All right, this was one of and I will take credit for this one. My mother likes to take credit, but I really wanted to put the kitchen in here, and we knew that the pipes were running underneath this floor, so it was something that was still attainable. And I mean, as you can see, it is quite beautiful. It is exactly what I would want. And I mean, my dad and I spent a few evenings. We built the cabinets. We had to saw back the backs of some of them to fit these very unlevel walls and very unlevel floors. And I mean, a lot of hard work went into this kitchen, but this used to be the dining room. And so we had a nice pink, this was pink carpet in here from wall to wall, and had these beautiful hardwood floors under. And I mean, now you can see what we're able to do with a dreary old dining room. And now it's the kitchen of a chef, which I need to learn to be. And I mean, yeah, Dad, do you have anything?
And what you learned through this is, and what you learned firsthand is, old homes, there's nothing perfect about the walls. And so putting in something that is a square box or something that's made for a newer home always has to be modified to some extent to fit. The final product, it makes it look like it's all factory right out of the box.
Yeah.
But needs a lot of modifications in order for it to work. So she learned that through this home because she was young when we tried to do our other houses. But it's amazing. Yeah, she put in the hard work, but when it's done, it looks like it's always been here.
Yeah. All right, so one tip that I do have for first-time home buyers, for people that are young and really don't know what to do with the kitchen if they're redoing it, is I recommend just keeping it very simple. As you can see, I have black countertops, I have white cabinets, and it just makes it easier for you to personalize on your own, but for you also to still have that resale value. If you do eventually want to sell it down the road, it will hold its classic look and still just be able to be personalized for other people. Like, as you can see, yes, I said black countertops, white cabinets, but we have the pops of yellow from things like lemons, or this painting that my in-laws actually gave Chris and I for our first anniversary, I think, or it might have been our wedding gift. Our wedding gift, it's actually Jackson Hole. You can see the mountains in the back, and that's where we got engaged. It's just things like the little pops of yellow in our kitchen that can really make it your own and personal, and things like the rugs that we got at the consignment store that can just make it feel homey, but also allow you to have things that are removable for the next people to come in and make this house their home too. So you can see this absolutely beautiful brick floor that's in here that we actually used to be the flooring for our laundry room. And this was actually a really special thing that is near and dear to our hearts. Is my grandfather, his wedding gift to us was these bricks, or were these bricks. And so he gave us these bricks, and we used them to make our laundry room floor and really just make it into a easy, clean area. We now have a puppy, so for him to have accidents and it not be a problem, and for laundry to be done in there. And so
now we're going to take everybody upstairs to go see the primary bedroom. But on the way up, you're going to be exposed to an incredible hole in the wall up the top of the steps. One thing you're going to learn through it is we wanted the hole to be there for creating an open space, but at the same time, because of the narrow staircase, it was actually the only way we could get drywall upstairs. And the only way we can get some furniture upstairs was actually up these steps and through the opening that you're going to see. So sometimes something decorative actually served a purpose to get you where you are today. So Alex, why don't we take them upstairs?
So come on up.
So this hole, when we bought the house, was just a solid wall.
When I bought the house.
I'm sorry, when she bought the house. And we had a problem because there is a third floor. There's also work to be done in the other bedrooms that needed drywall. And the drywall could not make it around this corner here. So we had to put a hole in the wall. And we said, okay, how do we do that? And what do we do with it when we're done with it? So I gave her the task of demo, which you were amazing at. And
taking a sledgehammer to the wall.
and opening it up to make it what it is today. And it served the purpose, and we were able to utilize it for more than just opening up a space.
Yeah.
So let's go take a look.
All right, so let's come look at the primary bedroom. And also, this mirror is kind of hiding it's not hiding because we made it look seamless, but this is actually used to be a door into another bedroom, and we'll show you what we transformed that into. And welcome to my primary bedroom. And all right, this one had wallpaper that was, what was the pattern? Like flowers and pink and...
There's certain things in life you want to forget, and this is one of those.
And this one also had pink carpet wall to wall and still had these beautiful floors under it, which was such a blessing. And honestly, this room I felt like was the least amount of work.
And one of the things I would like to say is that when we said before that Chris did not had the skills to jump into some things, Chris was that person who, when we pulled up the carpet and there was staples, hundreds and hundreds of staples on the floor and up and down the steps that had to be removed one at a time, Chris was the person who sat there for 2 to 3 hours at a time pulling the staples out. Yep. So every job is needed to get the job complete. And so he served such incredible
I feel like this was his big room. He did taking off all the wallpaper, and he took all the staples out, and this was the worst room with the staples. They seemed to get their aggression out when they were putting the carpet in.
So this room here was just a bedroom before that. We redid the closets in here and the bedroom, but there was no bathroom that went with the bedroom. And this house is fortunate enough. There is the third floor is finished and has a bedroom, and also there's another guest bedroom on this floor. So what Alex was referring to before was a small bedroom at the end of the hallway that we said, do we really need a small bedroom that you could barely fit a bed into? Let's take that space and make it into a primary bathroom that can make this a great place for the parents to live, a young couple, whatever.
All right, so this was the little bedroom that we mentioned earlier, and as you can see, we utilized different parts of it. We actually closed off this wall to make it into one longer area to be able to put a bigger sink in. We used the closet and made that into a walk-in shower. We have made half of it into a walk-in closet, just to really utilize what was a small bedroom and maximizing it into something that is comfortable for a young married couple, and yet is just very clean and simple and adds a bathroom to the house, which it definitely needed.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Come on down, I'm starving. Al, what did you make for dinner?
Well, you know me, I don't cook. Okay. Well, I'm trying.
Okay.
But I picked up your favorite pizza.
Okay. Oh, is that what was just brought?
Yes.
All right, let's go. There's also your favorite dip, honey. Cheese spread.
Awesome.
Oh, we've got a little vetri action.
It's Mom's favorite.
Father, we come around this table this evening in gratitude, thanking you for another opportunity to be together as family and to enjoy food in this beautiful home that you've blessed us with. I ask that you bless this food and help it to nourish our bodies. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Welcome.
Yay. Dad, did you see the poster?
I did.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.